Welcome. I've got a special guest with me today. He's a popular streamer, a YouTuber, a longtime Star Citizen backer, and I've brought SaltEMike here into the channel to give some of his perspective on the game, growing a Twitch channel, and just all-around viewpoint from somebody who's been in the trenches a very long time. Welcome to the broadcast, Mike.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, now I'm going to take a little trip backwards to talk about some beginnings, but for right now, let's set some context for the present. Tell us who you are and what your involvement is with the Star Citizen project.
Well, I'm SaltEMike. And as far as my involvement with the Star Citizen project, I've been streaming since, I think, right when 0.9 dropped. So I didn't stream very much when the Hangar module was the only thing that you could do. And I've been pretty consistently streaming it ever since then. And I always wanted to make YouTube videos, but never had the time because I stream part-time and deal poker semi-part-time, I guess closer to full-time. And then kind of do this for fun, and it's sort of turning into like a little career-ish thing. And yeah, I mean, as far as that, I backed in 2013, and I knew it was something special, and it still feels like something special. And yeah, I just enjoy making content for it. I enjoy the community, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, great. So how did you even just first hear about Star Citizen?
I was playing Ultima Online, and I played Ultima Online since I was young, and I saw it on a forum, actually, and they were like, oh yeah, Chris Roberts is making this game, and it looks pretty cool. And then I looked, and I didn't know what Kickstarter was, and I was like, wow, he really looks like he's trying to like money grab here. I'm confused because I didn't know what Kickstarter was. I was like, what is this? Like, there's no legitimacy behind this website. What is this thing? So I put it down for a while, actually, and ignored it. And then Linus Tech Tips actually made a video about Star Citizen. I think it was Luke from Linus Tech Tips. And I couldn't ignore it at that point. It was like, that's what legitimized it for me, and I backed like that day. And what's kind of funny about the day I backed was the day after, I believe, they said LTI would no longer, like, they wouldn't give LTI for any backers beyond this point. Obviously, that's changed since then. But at the time, I was like, oh man, I missed out.
Right.
But yeah, so that's kind of
so hearing Linus and somebody else talking about that, it felt like it gave it some legitimacy to the whole Kickstarter idea.
Yeah, because it just, for whatever reason, Kickstarter felt weird to me at that time.
Yeah, so you said that you started backing in 2013. So, and you know, obviously you heard about the game a little bit, but can you describe, I guess, your level of curiosity or excitement was at that time? Like what drew you into this thing, you know?
Well, I guess I left something out. I played Wing Commander as a kid, right? So I played Wing Commander, I played Wing Commander Privateer. So I kind of knew what to expect from the game. I had an idea of what I was getting into, right? So I was excited to relive those childhood memories. Like, I didn't have a computer that can play Wing Commander, and I would go to my friend's house. His dad built computers, and we would play. And then eventually, like, I begged my dad to build a computer or to buy a computer that can play it, and that's what we did, you know? So my level of excitement was like almost childlike, where it was like bringing me back, you know? So, yeah.
I can understand that. And you're talking about, you know, getting a computer to be able to play the game. That's funny. That's actually
familiar.
Yeah, because that was my major upgrade in a PC, to be able to play Star Citizen.
Same.
Yeah. So, you know, there's a lot of games out there. I mean, I know we're talking 2013, not that long ago. So there's a lot of great games out there. And so in particular, like you said, Wing Commander, and you kind of knew what you're getting into, but what made just I guess at that time, more lore than anything else about Star Citizen? What kind of made it more intriguing than other games?
Well, like I said, I was playing Ultima Online, and Ultima Online is a largely player-driven economy. And when they showed the economy video where it wasn't going to be player-driven, I was like, wow, the people who know life or whatever, they're not going to be able to mess it up, essentially, or make it so far in their favor, because it'll always be balanced by this simulation or by the devs or whatever at the time. And yeah, it was that kind of really excited me.
Gotcha. So I've got to ask the question everyone always asks. So what was that first ship that you bought?
An Aurora LN.
Oh, so you did the immediate upgrade from the MR to the LN, huh?
Yeah, I just assumed I was going to do combat stuff, and it's kind of funny because I don't do it at all anymore, really.
Yeah, it's funny. The LN was going to be my first ship, and I kind of paused my finger over that button as well. But I'll admit, my first ship I decided I would go all the way into the Cutlass Black. It just seemed so it seemed so multi-purpose, a little small crew if you wanted it. It seemed like it could do a little bit of everything, at least at the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my first. But yeah, the MR, the Aurora, good first ship.
Yeah.
So in that beginning, now you talked about the hangars and stuff. That was before that I got into the game. I jumped in right before 3.0 launched, which is when you actually had actually had moons and things to go to. So I went in about 3 months before that because it looked like some actual things were going to be there. So for you though, in 2013, what was there? What were you doing in the game? What was there to do there?
Not much. I mean, it was mostly PvP focused. Maybe that's why I bought a PvP ship. I can't even remember, but it was more like honing your skills in the game and learning about what's the most powerful weapon, and it was more that kind of thing, more than anything.
Okay. Did they have?
It was just so combat focused,
Right. Yeah. So at least they did have the Arena Commander, and so you could fly and fight and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So at this point now, I'm going to ask kind of a tough question here. Can you tell us how much you're invested into the game monetarily?
Over 20, but under whatever the highest number is. So I know I don't have the highest number or the highest concierge, but the thing is when you're a streamer, it's different. I'm not it's weird because I'm not really the one invested. Is what I used to do was I'd even show the number on the screen as the donations came in while I was streaming. The counter would go up, and we would take all of that, every single penny of that money, which then also I lost money because PayPal takes a percentage, but we would still take that number and give that number away every month the following month. So I would buy ships, give them away, buy ships, give them away. So my account is not worth that much, not even close.
Gotcha.
But I am invested, I guess, in that much. And I think a lot of content creators have that same experience where, sure, it's quote unquote their money, but it was always used for promotional purposes, I guess.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that makes sense. You're taking the money that you're bringing in and you're kind of reinvesting that back in to have giveaways and bring in more viewers and that kind of stuff, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So now, when did you start streaming this? You just kind of mentioned you were getting this money in from streaming. How soon after the backing did that start? Or maybe you were already doing
immediately.
it. Oh,
yeah, really? almost immediately. Yeah.
Okay, so
as soon as they dropped Arena Commander, where it was against the AI, not Arena Commander against other players.
I see. Now, I'm not sure, like I said, because I kind of, found out about it here and there, but I think you might have been the first person I saw streaming it.
Oh, wow.
Because it was in Arena Commander. Like I said, I just had an interest in the game, and there's this guy flying around, and I didn't know it was you, but if I recall, he did have some kind of facial hair, and and people were asking him like what he might do when the game comes out, and he said, I don't know, I might get into mining. And I know you're still kind of into mining now.
It's probably me then.
Yeah, so that it's just really coincidental, and then I kind of caught up with you later, because now you stream at a really odd time of the day, or at least when not a lot of other people are streaming.
Yeah, like I worked from 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. when I first started streaming. I work in a casino, and I used to play Ultima Online when I got home until about 9 a.m. So I just kind of kept that schedule. I'd just start around 6, like after I wound down and ate my dinner time, and then would start streaming, and that's kind of what happened. And like you said, there were a lot of like superstar streamers at the time, I guess, is like, big synonymous names with Star Citizen, WTFosaurus, and Bad News Baron, and at the time, like this guy, Australian guy, Mercenary Thorn. So there was these big guys, and I was like, nobody's watching me. What do I do? And I was like, well, nobody's playing now, so might as well pop on now, right? And that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, well, that's obviously changed a lot, because I'd say pretty regularly you're getting a few hundred people watching every day.
Yeah, I think the average since the pandemic, of course, that is a factor, but it's been over 200, and the average is starting at 0 throughout the day and then gradually going up. So like your top number is above that, but my average has been consistently 200, which is kind of mind-blowing to me. It's pretty cool.
It is. It's actually a pretty good number, I know there's guys that get thousands, but still that's pretty solid, particularly because
not that play this game regularly.
Well, that's very true. Yeah. So now I'm also really curious, and I'm glad that you're here to talk about this. So why start streaming? I mean, clearly you weren't thinking, okay, I'm gonna, this isn't a get rich scheme. I mean, I can tell that you're a little bit more on top of things than that. So why stream?
Well, what's funny is my little brother was huge into StarCraft, and he showed me Twitch chat and these big streamers at the time that were just constantly getting donations and all this crazy stuff. And I actually did get into it because I thought it was like, these guys are doing this and making all this money. I could do this and make all this money and not have to work in a casino anymore. And then when you get into it, you realize that it's like so much different than that. And I got discouraged. And then I kind of like stopped a little bit and didn't do it as consistently. But then I realized how fun it was and how much enjoyment I was getting out of it and interacting with these people from like, different parts of the world and all that. And then I started going into it with a different mentality of let's just have fun. And I've kind of stuck with that ever since. I think as far as my channel goes, subscriber count versus like the average viewer count that I have is quite low. I don't have donation goals and things like that you would see across a lot of other Star Citizen streams. I don't do giveaways unless they're kind of CIG sponsored nowadays, and that's how I went about it. So initially, believe it or not, it actually kind of was a financial thing because I thought it just seemed so easy, and then because everybody's looking for an easy way out, I guess, of whatever job they're in if they don't enjoy it, and I definitely don't love my career anymore, and so I guess how I got into it was like, wow, this is so funny and cool, but at the same time, it was like it seemed easy. And then you quickly realize how it's not.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think a lot of people see people streaming and or even YouTube, and they think, okay, you turn on the camera, you play your game, and you get paid and you get all these views while playing the game. But it's just it's so much more involved with that, and it requires such a higher level of dedication. I mean, you really need to be there during those times, on the days it needs to be there, pretty regularly, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, that was the whole, I guess, playbook back when I started too, was that everybody said just be consistent, stream at least at the same time every day, and at the time I was 7 days a week. I never took a day off, and then gradually I mixed in a day off in there, and now I have a semi day off. My day off from streaming, I make a YouTube video. So it's I'm still kind of 7 days a week plus a job and a wife. It's busy.
Yeah. No, I'm going to play a little bit off what you said about having fun. So, obviously I've seen your stream before, and I'll admit I watch it a lot of times, or really listen to it because it's during my work, but you're one of the only guys streaming, but it's not over the top. This isn't insulting, but it's a very plain stream. I mean, there's no green screen in the background. There's no, voice, effects going on. There's not a lot of, there's not a lot of pizzazz around it. It's just you talking to people, interacting, playing the game, just like that.
That's what Twitch is about. That's what streaming is about. I mean, do you see that in any of the top guys, right? Like 90% of them don't have green screens. None of them use voice modulation, and none of them have donation goals. None of them have crazy things. It's just them and the people in chat and the game. Yeah. And those are the channels I enjoy, and they're the ones that inspire me. So I had the green screens, I had all that stuff, and then you realize that it's like none of that stuff matters. It's your interaction between you and them.
Yeah, and I can. So I was going to ask, it sounds like it was a little bit of a conscious decision to not do that, to just be you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that was like, I'm sure you would want to get into this too. I mean, that was the reason for the name changes.
I thought about going there, but I know that's a sensitive topic, isn't it? A little bit the old
sort
name.
of. I mean, it was just stupid. I guess for your listeners, my original name was Torque17, and I never thought I would stream, and it was just my Twitch account name, and my normal name was taken, so I just threw something random in there. It was when twerking was popular, and that was just like, oh, some stupid name. I don't care. I'm never gonna type in chat. I just watch, and things changed, and then you gradually Twitch grew more and more, and I see people in my job talking about Twitch and streaming, and I want to jump into that conversation, but I don't want to tell them what my name is because it's embarrassing. These are people in my real life, So yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. You'd rather go with with the SaltEMike name you have now, and there was another little intermediate name for a couple of weeks there or something, but
yeah,
that's where it's landed. And now even with it being, like I said, just a very straightforward stream, it's like, here I am, I'm Mike, I'm talking to the people, but clearly, what kind of things have you done to make it grow? I mean, was it just the regularity, or were there other things that you did to kind of actively stimulate that? I mean, you talked about giveaways and being regular. What else did you do to kind of grow that channel?
Well, I don't think the giveaways and being regular is what grew it. I think what grows it is your sense of community, and trying to put it into the right words is basically just being a friend, I guess. Not really, like somebody that everybody that is watching relates to, and it's a place that is enjoyable to be. So a lot of the stuff comes consciously from experiences that I had in other Star Citizen Twitch channels, right? Where you go there and you spam something stupid and you try to make a joke and you instantly get banhammered, and that's it. And it's like, these are just no fun places. And I get inspired by certain Twitch channels, and the type of Twitch channels that I like are there's a lot more freedom in what you can type in chat, and how many emotes you could spam, and all sorts of things, like actually being a part of Twitch culture. And that, I think, was the difference, and I think that's what kind of grew. And then on top of that, doing the same thing on Discord, doing the same thing on YouTube is also something that I've noticed has been really helpful.
Yeah. So, I mean, now every now and again, you don't stream Star Citizen and you stream something else, and you've commented, I've noticed, those numbers visibly drop, in your viewer. But how do I put this? Is diversification eventually kind of part of the plan, or is it more just a fact that it's hard to stream the same game every day?
It's impossible to stream this game every day. I think if your game every day is good, like I see Escape from Tarkov streamers that just pop on every day. The game's in a pretty good place. It's not perfect, but those guys do okay. And but yeah, I think for me personally, I would love to be in a place where, and this is that part of that conscious decision to kind of make it about me as much as possible, is that it hopefully doesn't matter what game I play at some point. Like, sure, if I drop my main game, will I lose some viewers? Yeah, but I hope one day that it's not such a significant number that maybe I couldn't do this full time or something, right? So that would be the idea for sure, is to enjoy. I like video games. I don't like just one.
Sure, and I can understand that. If by keeping it kind of, I'll say plain and like about you, then it's more about people wanting to see you because of your personality and your interaction rather than the game itself, right?
Yeah, and I just, for me personally, that's how I want it. It's not even like a business decision or a conscious decision for financial gain. It's because if they're there for a giveaway, or if somebody's there for something else, I don't know. I don't go to Twitch channels for what game people are playing. I go to Twitch channels for them, and I want people to feel the same way about me that I feel about my favorite streamer.
I hear you. That's actually why I watch my favorite streamers. It's because of the person, not so much. I really could care less whether they're playing, Star Citizen, Spelunky. I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, if you take a step back and really think about why you watch certain streamers, 99% of the time, it's not going to be because of how good they are at a certain game. It's going to be about them. Right.
So you talked about your name, so you are SaltEMike. And
sure.
From my viewpoint, and now this is just me, that you do have this odd mixture of support for Star Citizen mixed with some salt. So now that's just kind of from the outside. It's like, well, he is supporting the game, but then there's a lot of interjection of the other side. So how would you describe kind of that tone of your stream?
I mean, I think you kind of hit it. It's like, I obviously support the game and want it to do well. I'm at times I feel just as excited as I was in 2013. Not as often, because we know, as you gain information, you know a lot more about it, and it's not as fantasy as it was before. You can kind of see things unfolding, and you may like something and may not like something, and you had different expectations for one thing or another. But yeah, I mean, I think you kind of hit it pretty well. I mean, it's year 8, and we don't have basic functionality for things. I mean, I was losing my mind today because we don't have basic functionality of storing your ship or vehicle and spawning it again. It just doesn't work for some reason. And I know bugs are bugs, and they're going to pop up occasionally as they're adding these features, but it can be incredibly frustrating because as I stated earlier, I think where my frustration comes from is from a content creator standpoint, and somebody, and I would say 75% content creator and 25% somebody that just really has wanted that MMO experience in a certain way, and Star Citizen feels like it can give you that, but it just can't do it yet. And it's incredibly frustrating to hear what they say versus what you play. And because they don't, at times they do not look the same.
Sure. Now, I've also kind of watch every now and then. I'll kind of watch the chat streaming along, while you're playing and things are going on. There is also this hot, at least this is just from my viewpoint, from kind of seeing maybe other streams that are more positive in nature, I guess. There's a lot of salt in that chat. I mean, there's a lot of people really just bringing on the memes in there. So do you think that's because of you, or is that just the community?
No, I would say it's mostly because of me. I don't think my little community represents the Star Citizen community at large at all. It's the thing about Twitch and the thing about YouTube or any content creation is people that end up in your community are typically going to be like-minded with you. And I definitely am verbally and visibly frustrated with Star Citizen often. So it's just, I think that's really the reason why. But we also try to make light of the situation that we're in, right? So most of the memes are lighthearted jokes, calling Star Citizen a scam, things like that, where it's none of us actually think that 100% at least. And yeah, I mean, it's more just, it goes back to having fun. And if you can't make fun of the kind of rough situation that we're in, I mean, what are you doing? Like,
sure.
I don't know. I just don't take life that seriously.
Gotcha. And you've kind of actually answered a question that kind of popped into my head here that I was curious about. Looking forward, because it just sounds like you're just you being you and just being very real. But I wondered if there was an atmosphere, that you would like to cultivate for your stream, but it doesn't sound like that's necessarily even a goal at all. It's just, it is what it is. Right?
Never, it doesn't cross my mind at all. If that crossed my mind, I wouldn't be me, right? I would be whoever I consciously thought I should be. Yeah, I mean, I see that often with I guess smaller streamers or streamers that I don't enjoy watching, is you could see the conscious decisions being made, and it feels fake, and it is fake, and it's those aren't the kind of streams I like to watch. Like some people are entertainers on Twitch, and those guys, that's fine, that's cool. It's just not what I enjoy watching. And again, like, I'm inspired by certain types of streams, and those are more the I guess the personality streamers, I guess you can call them. So they're actually like sort of their personality, or at least they're very good at pretending.
Yeah.
At the very least.
Now, anytime that somebody like yourself, you've gone public, they said you get, a good amount of people watching, inevitably that brings, personal attacks, insults, and things like that. So does any of that bother you?
It does sometimes. I'd be lying if I said that it didn't get to me, and people say things that are so nasty sometimes. I think what frustrates me more is I express an opinion or a thought or something, and I've never been a very good speaker, and I sometimes express it in a way that actually misrepresents what I'm actually thinking, and people take what I'm saying the wrong way. And I think that's what I get more disappointed or frustrated with. Some people are just stupid, and those people are easy to ignore, but it's the people that it's the people when they're rude, but they're right. Those are the ones that get you. You know?
Interesting.
Like,
Interesting.
they're right, but you don't want to hear it, but they're right.
Right. Now, I'm actually going to disagree with you a little bit about you talking about not conveying a thought or speaking correctly. I actually think that you wind up conveying your thoughts pretty well over the stream, personally.
Thanks. I just notice in the comments sometimes that people like didn't quite get what I meant by something, and it's like, well, it's got to be the way I say it then,
No, I think some people just, like you said, they're almost sometimes might be looking for something to say or take things very literally, aren't seeing things in the bigger picture. But no, I think you do a good job, and particularly with answer the call. That's this live kind of interaction going on there, and I gotta say it's a really nice weekly stream. So tell us about that.
Well, that kind of spawned out of the blue. I mean, I started on a podcast called Redacted with WTFosaurus, and then eventually Board Gamer came around, and we added a few other people. But that ended up being too difficult to do because of the time of day. And one day I just had a random call with Board Gamer, and we just talked. And I was thinking to myself, like, we should do this more regularly. And I didn't want to do it with just Board. And the next week we just took calls from random people, and it worked well. And then the more I think about it, it's like, it's kind of a consistent theme. Like, a lot of Star Citizen streamers I don't enjoy watching. They're not my cup of tea. They're all awesome people and cool people, and a lot of them are my friends. But one thing that I recognize from a lot of the Star Citizen community is the content creators do tend to be the only ones with real voices sometimes, it feels like. And I was like, I have this opportunity here to give people that are smarter than me a voice.
Because you're just taking in calls just from pretty much anybody that's watching your stream or wants to be involved there, which is a little different. It's not like this panel of people that's there. Exactly.
And the funny thing is I never listened to Joe Rogan, but I guess I came to the same conclusion as him, is like, let's bring on these people that are smarter than me and understand how game development works or software development works or these other things, and have a conversation with them and maybe learn something, instead of sitting here and being SaltEMike complaining about where the game is at and why I'm kind of unhappy about it sometimes. I can actually hear, not from CIG, but from somebody else that might understand, and that's just kind of where it went.
Yeah.
And it's been a wild ride and a lot of fun.
It has been, now, a lot of you have a couple regulars that call in, but I thought particularly this last Sunday, it was a wide spectrum of people, a lot of great thoughts in there. And it's interesting to listen to. I've got to say, since you started that, I have not missed a show. It's been really good.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, I think it's almost too regular. I've thought about this a million times. Like, the callers are too consistent, the same people every week. And I've thought about it a lot to just, maybe do something like bi-weekly, like at night. So I'm like more East Coast time, like around, when we're recording this is like 9 p.m., something more like that. But just to get a different perspective, to get more of like the American perspective, because there's a lot of Europeans that call in.
Yeah, that's, when you talk about varying the time, I was wondering why, but it became, you kind of explained that. It's because you would then be connecting with a different group of people, different audience, because that show relies on people calling in. So you kind of need to take unless you've got some big backlog of 20 people waiting to join, you kind of need to talk to whoever's calling in at that moment.
Yeah, it's so frustrating too. I'll do my best to share my opinion on, because the other thing is we just choose one topic, right? And that's something nobody was doing. And I noticed a lot of people do it now, I guess because they saw that it works pretty well, because a lot of people were just like, yeah, let's talk about the weekly news, and then they never get through anything, and you end up missing things that are important. And I was like, if we just talk about one subject each week, we can really hear a wide range of opinions on that subject and learn something and have, again, I guess, a good time talking about it.
Yeah.
And I think it just works.
Yeah, it has been good. And let me pivot here a little bit from your stream over to YouTube, because you do some YouTube content, but kind of going back to the beginnings, were you doing any YouTube before you started streaming, or did that come after the fact?
That came after the fact. I felt like I needed to. And I did it out of like that necessity. It's like it's like that's just a thing you do. And I enjoyed it, but it was a lot of work in comparison to just hitting the start streaming button, right? Where like hitting the start streaming button is much easier, I think.
I do understand that. Yeah, I mean, I can easily put in 16 hours to put together a 12-minute video.
Exactly. Like, I mean, I made a video about how I earned the Vandal mask, right? And it was like 17, 18 hours of video I had to go through to make that. And it was just like, that's so much.
But you're doing it, you said, because you feel like you needed to. So is it to kind of
back
just reach
then?
that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what about
now? Not so much. Now, well, I guess that's not necessarily true. Now it is. It also feels like it's a necessity if you're going to do this as a career. But I find it more creative and fun now than I did back then, because I think I know a little bit more of how to edit videos and learned a lot, and it's like this kind of creative outlet, more artistic than streaming. You just kind of like sit there, play games, talk to people. I don't get the same feeling from it.
I get it. You're not kind of crafting something together that is an expression that way. So did you used to
like
do
when you
more?
post that video, it feels good, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure you have the same feeling. You post it, you're proud of it. Like, you don't get proud of a stream. It's too long. There's too many things that happen. Like, maybe sometimes if you did like a cool event or something, but it's hard to be proud of a stream the same way you would be of a YouTube video.
Yeah,
and that proudness is kind of what I feed off of now.
Sure. Did you do more YouTube, before, or do you do less now?
I do significantly more now.
Oh, you do more now? Okay.
Yeah, I do back then I would oh man, I love the economy part of the game. So back in the early days of my YouTube channel, I would take the lore posts about the systems and then dissect what they wrote about each system and go, okay, this is what somebody who's into mining would do in this system. This is what a salvager would do. There's going to be lots of destroyed ships because it's a high contested area or whatever, right? And I found that to be really fun, but it was, again, I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to make videos. I wasn't proud of them. But now I have this weekly podcast, a weekly news video, and then when I can, I make the videos that I actually want to make, which is more like guide content of how to play.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. You talk about a weekly news. So let's pivot to that a little bit. Week in review. Now, I do watch a lot of the Star Citizen, the news, all the stuff out there, but week in review, that just kills. That is a really well put together kind of thing. So, I mean, how long does it take you to do that? And, I'm gonna ask sort of also, I guess, it's a little different than what I hear. You know, I mean, not to say anything negative with a board gamer, but it's just kind of a machine gun fire of information, and it seems like you really take the information and help digest it for the reader. You know, provide some commentary. It's a very interesting watch.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned board gamer. Like, I'll add Nubifier to that. Like, these guys these are the kings, right? They still are. And I, as somebody who knows the information already, tends not to watch those videos. But when I did, I would be like, oh, he missed this, or he didn't say that. Why wouldn't he mention this? It's so important, because it was important to me. But it may not have been important to Nubifier, let's say, for example. And I was like, if I ever did this, I would do it this way. I would say it to myself in my head. And when I decided I was gonna, I was proud of my YouTube channel now, because I had this podcast, and I was like, I need to do more. I think about what could I do more. Well, it's not easy to make guide videos because the game doesn't work half the time, right? So it's just, the game is not ready for that just yet. So what do I do? I was like, well, I could do news, and it's like, but Board's doing that and Noob's doing that. Well, what if I do it differently? What if I sort of make it like my Twitch stream, where we talk about something and I just give my opinion on it, and we have a back and forth. YouTube kind of stinks for the back and forth part, but yeah, I mean, it just, that's kind of where it went and what happened. And the one thing that I thought was always super important is that if you were talking about something, you showed it on the screen. If it was official from them, you showed what they said. So you could give your own opinion on it, but you allow whoever's watching to create their own opinion.
You know,
Right?
I will admit that when I'm watching that show and you'll put up a clip that comes, directly from CIG about something, I'll hear your speak about it, but I'll sometimes roll that footage back and then pause it so I can read exactly what they were saying. So no,
exactly, and you can disagree with me completely too, because you can interpret what they say in a totally different way, and that's fair and fine. That's the whole point.
Yeah. So, but no, it's a great. I think it's a really great, well put together thing. And I think I've heard you say that you don't stream on Mondays, so you have time to put that together. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, that's my day off, quote unquote day off.
Gotcha. And you also put together some guides. You put together, I remember it was a guide on the mining laser heads, but it was about as comprehensive, because not only did you just give the stats, because I hear what you're saying, it's not just the news and the stats and the data, this does this, but you interjected, what made it really great for me anyways, that you interjected some of your own thoughts about how that actual laser head would be used and in what kind of situation, which I wasn't hearing anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to mining, I'm just so in it and understand it fully that it was easy to go, okay, well, if they do this, this is how it would work. And I mean, I kind of want to watch that video back now that you mentioned that and be like, was I right? Because it's basically just the Helix laser nowadays, right? Like, I don't think anybody uses anything else. I've heard people say that they might use one of the smaller lasers, but
yeah, no,
personally, if you're gonna min-max it, it's just Helix all day. Like, I don't know why you would use anything else.
Yeah, I kind of hear you. It's like there's really nothing else that you need to use but the Helix if you can get it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's almost not I think you might even talked about it in the video, where there's really not even much of a clear progression there. There's really no reason to get the Hofstede and then move up to the next one. It's like you might as well just save your money and get that one.
Yeah, I mean, I've been fighting this one for a while. It's like I'm fighting that fight for the game to be as much of a game as we can make it for now. And I don't know if that's the right way to go about it, but that's definitely the way I look at this, is like, we have opportunities to make Star Citizen more fun by just playing with some of the numbers on like how much things cost, or what their effectiveness is. Like, hey, this is how mining works. Why don't we do this? I mean, like, one thing that I've said a number of times now is, why not make some rocks that are twice the size of what they are now, 3 times the size of what they are now, in terms of how much power you have to put into them, and how many rocks you have to pick up. Because, you know, same as the Helix laser, why use the Argo mole? Makes no sense. So yeah, just little things like that is stuff. I wish, though, like, I can make more videos like that. It's just difficult.
It's difficult
to play the game, to have the game respond the way the developer intends it to. So, like, you read a patch note about a certain, let's say, just like use a mining laser, for example, and I guess mining lasers is a bad example because it works, but if I was going to discuss something else, like missions, for example, right? Missions often have bugs involved with them that it just doesn't work. So if you were going to do a guide on anything literally other than mining, it's difficult. It's just hard to get the game to respond in the way you want to. Also, the world is really big, right? So if you want to show, like, even something like a weapon build on a ship, well, I got to fly here, there, another place. We're talking an hour to do that. Then you get the footage, and then you have to figure out how you're going to say things. It's like hours of time for a video that, I don't know, I feel like it's going to be obsolete by the time you post it.
Oh, I hear you're back to that, you know, the hours of investment there that it can take to do things. And so with YouTube and the videos, are you kind of seeing it now as a second enterprise, or as more of as kind of that outlet you were talking about? Or is it just more for support for your streaming, just so it's kind of a more well-rounded kind of output for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is 100%. The intention was always to support my streaming. I never put monetization on the YouTube channel other than the ads that YouTube was going to put there anyway, right? And they would probably put more than what I would put in a lot of cases. I think I've learned my lessons a little bit about how many to put. Like, sometimes I've put too much or whatever, but the idea was, I don't really intend to throw much monetization, at least at this point, into my YouTube channel, because I want people to enjoy my Twitch channel.
Sure. You know, and I didn't actually I was very against mid-roll type ads and things like that, at least for my channel. But YouTube did like some kind of update change a couple months ago, where they by default applied that to like all your existing stuff, and I just didn't feel like taking it out, so I've got a lot of mid-roll stuff now too.
Yeah, and the way they put them in, like, sometimes it's weird. Like, I'll put mine in where I want them, and then they'll automatically put more, and like, I can remove them, but if you don't notice it, it ends up like your channel has like tons and tons of ads on it, and you're like, what the heck, man? It's like every 5 minutes you're running an ad. What is this?
Yeah, I didn't go back. Yeah, I didn't go back to try to edit, you know, or do that. I said, okay, they're gonna put it in automatic. I'll let it be. You know, if I happen to notice, I'll fix it. But you know,
for the new ones, do you put mid rolls or no?
No. Anytime that I post a new video, I let anything run before, after. I don't put in the mid-roll. Once it gets a couple weeks old, and I've kind of, I guess, maybe gotten the main body of people that are following, seen it, then I'll go back and maybe go ahead and add it because the others have it. But I don't like for people's first experience to, have the ads there.
Yeah, I agree. I understand your point of view, but then, like, I take this point of view on it is, I definitely 100% want to do this for a career if I can possibly do it. And if I don't have the mentality of now how I would if I was doing it for a living. Like if you're just gonna all of a sudden switch when YouTube can start paying your bills kind of thing, I feel like it wouldn't be genuine. Like, why not act the way now? If I'm gonna run mid rolls because it raises your CPM to a point where it's like, I mean, my YouTube channel only posting 2 videos a week does really well. Like, I would say it's about a third as good as my Twitch channel, and my Twitch channel is 6 days a week, and my YouTube channel is 2 days a week.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
so
that's quite a substantial
yeah,
input then. Yeah.
exactly. So it's something where it's like, the other way I look at it is this: is like when on Twitch everything is like a donation or a subscription. It's the viewer actively taking money out of their own pocket and giving it to you. If there's an opportunity where the viewer can sit there and do nothing and not have to take any of their money out of their pocket and support what I hope to be my dream, I think that is more the way to go than the financial support directly from the viewer. I would rather that be secondary one day rather than in the forefront.
That makes sense, you know, because I can understand that difference. Someone's not directly contributing; they're just sitting there watching and ads running. It's like watching TV, right? It's just a thing.
Exactly.
So you're in. I think I have asked you this before. I asked you in your Twitch chat at one point, and you said that your intention, eventually, you would like to go full-time streamer. Is that still true?
100%. Yeah, I've fallen in love with it. If I take a day off more than like my Monday, I miss it. You know, like my internet was out for a week. I couldn't wait to come back. And when the pandemic started and we were all sitting at home for the first few months, I mean, like I work in a casino. A casino's obviously not going to be open. I can't believe it's open now. But those 3 months were some of the best months of my life. I woke up, I did my thing, I had this free time in the afternoon to enjoy my time with my fiance at the time, but now wife, and I got to bed early. I felt refreshed every day when I woke up. I ate healthy. It was different. Now it's wake up, stream, rush to work for 8 hours, come home, work on a YouTube video, sleep for a few hours. It's way more hectic than I want.
Absolutely. So, but needing that kind of regular, real, the day job, so to speak, that kind of income, do you have any kind of plan to maybe get to that eventual full-time stream?
No. Nope. The plan is to keep making YouTube videos and keep streaming on Twitch. And if those things allow it to happen, then it's meant to be. I'm not going to force it to happen.
Gotcha.
Because the viewers decide whether or not you can do it for a living. Right?
Okay.
I'm sure I could put up a donation goal for how much my monthly expenses are. And there's, plenty of generous people in the Star Citizen community, but I think that would be disingenuous and be taking advantage of people who are generous. And honestly, I don't think it's a safe situation to rely on those people for your income. I think you're kind of, to pun intended, you're gambling with your livelihood by doing that.
Yeah.
When it's completely obvious that you're able to do it, that's when you sit down and think about the decision you're making, leaving a relatively stable career for one that's not going to be relatively stable.
Sure. I respect that you're just going to kind of, if it's meant to happen, it's going to happen, that's, and not
exactly
trying to push it there. Cause you're right. I think if you were to put out a stretch goal or put out some kind of goal and say, hey, this is what it kind of takes to cover my core bills for the month. You're right. There's a lot of generous people they would donate, but that's probably, like you said, probably not something to rely on, because a lot of times those guys will move on. They'll watch you for a while, but in a couple years.
And they have. I mean,
you know.
yeah, I've seen it, right? There's been people who supported me huge, and then all of a sudden they're gone, or they pop. Like, I see these guys, they pop in occasionally here and there, every once in a while, but they're not there day in and day out like they were back then. And then you have, new people that are there day in and day out. It's just different.
Yeah.
Different people.
Yeah. So you got married here pretty recently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
End of June.
So with now I know the streaming, it does occupy a good bit of free time. Like you just said, it's like hours. More days of the week than not. So how does your better half feel about that?
I think she knows I love it and she wants me to be happy. So I think she's fine with it. But like, if you watch the stream, you see her come in sometimes. She'll be like bored and be like, hang out with me. Or like sometimes she'll come on and be like, all right, like, let's go do something. You've been on for 6 hours or something like that.
Sure. Does it ever cause like a real tiff between you guys?
No, never. No.
Okay. Well,
no, not at all.
So, but obviously, I mean, you guys, I've seen her too. I mean, you guys make a cute couple. So, what's your advice for someone, that's trying to find that balance between the streaming and a relationship, because it does interfere?
You make the sacrifice. They don't. If you want this, yeah. Like, I wake up early before she wakes up. I go to bed after she goes to sleep. Right? So when she's sleeping, I'm working on YouTube videos. At night, when she's sleeping in the morning, I'm streaming. And there's a few hours overlap, but then there's time where it's for us, and most of that time is on her time, right? If you want this, you're the one who has to make the sacrifice, not your better half, if you want it to work. They shouldn't have to sacrifice it. It's you. If you want it, you make the sacrifice. You sleep less, not them.
I think that's good advice. The self-sacrifice. Yeah. I don't think you can go wrong with that one in a relationship.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I hear you, because a lot of times, my wife, she will, she'll get tired, but there's some hours left in the evening, so I come back to the office and I'm assembling video for the next 2 or 3 hours while she's kind of winding down in the bedroom and going to sleep.
Exactly.
So now kind of just turning back to the game just a little bit, and I wanted to kind of also go back to it's a weird thing they have on the site. They've got these original stretch goals and scope for the game, which clearly expanded into a much bigger vision. Okay. And so from the perspective of back then and where and where we are now, do you think that was, how do I put this? Is that a good decision by them? Did that help fuel? Because I think you joined, if it was 2013, that was in the original stretch goals. So you got to see that scope expansion and got to see its impact. So kind of retrospectively, what's your thoughts about that?
Well, I think it's easy to say. I think you could sit here and say it was a bad idea because, look, the game isn't finished and they, it got all these people excited and this and that. But in the end, I think we're all still sitting here. We're talking to each other on this podcast because we both think this is going to become something, not that it's going to be nothing. So the decisions that they made to do that stuff got them to where they are today. Then it was a good idea.
Sure.
That's just, that's how I look at it. It clearly worked.
Yeah, I think the game and the vision they have now is the game that I bought into. For me. Because I didn't know.
Yeah, you bought into it at a time where it was easier to understand what was capable. When I got there, it was like the sky seemed like it was the limit. But you can kind of see the limits now.
Well, maybe. I mean, my sky is pretty high, so
Yeah,
I kind of thought there was and I'm still thinking, there's just this huge potential for it. Um,
sure.
and you talked about the game and it's finished. A lot of people say the game will never be finished, and I agree with them, but for a different reason, not from the perspective that it's an unfinished product that will never be completed, but I think it's just part of what they intend, which is to get it into a good playable state with a fair number of careers and things to do, and then continuously add content for the next decade or two.
Yeah, of course. Like any MMO, they're never done. I mean, I played Ultima Online for 17 years. There was patches all the time, right? It's when I say done, I mean turned on. The economy's turned on, and it's never going back. There's never going to be a wipe. There might be a rollback or something if there was some sort of issue, right? But aside from that, that's gonna be it,
Yeah. I think when people say the game will never be finished, they're not really seeing. It's not Red Dead Redemption. It's not this box of a game. It's gonna be always growing, I think.
Exactly, yeah.
So kind of given that, I would like to hear your thoughts about where you think the game will actually be in a 1 year, 5 year, and 10-year kind of progression.
Oh, good.
Big question, I know.
1 year, 5 year, and 10 year, right?
Right.
1 year. 1 year from now, so we're talking Q3, 2021.
We'll
I think
advance
we'll
that.
have.
We'll advance that a few months into we'll let the December
Sure.
drop happen. So
Sure. So
that's the big one. That's the big one that they usually do.
Yeah. Let's go with. I would guess we have not traveled to a new system yet via a jump point. Maybe we are in Q4 2021, but I think we'll have things like player inventories that we could loot. Hopefully, we would be able to pull components out of a ship and put them in our own. I think I'm dreaming there, so let me think of what I think we would actually have. Definitely physical inventories. I almost hope for sure some level of persistence in terms of I leave something on this moon, I can come back to it, it'll be there. But I think that is probably the extent of it. I don't know if we'll all be in one server.
And that's
5 years.
That's at your 1 year, right?
That's my 1 year. 5 years, I think we have a pretty basic, if the game's not there in 5 years of what everyone expects it to be, which is an MMO, lots of people all in one area, economy simulator turned on. We're interacting with a lot of NPCs, seeing players. There's org tension between, there's actually org mechanics, and they are fighting over territory and resources. I think we have a live and fun game. I hope at that point we have a place where casual players can enjoy the game and hardcore players can enjoy the game, and they don't have to butt heads as much with each other as they do now. 10 years. I think it's shut down. I think it has a chance to be shut down before 5 years.
What do you mean by shut down?
I don't think there's a chance, and I think it's not a small one, that server costs are insane. And I don't know. Here's the thing that Star Citizen has to think about is how are we going to monetize this without ruining the game? And it's going to be a very difficult task, in my opinion, without a subscription model. And I know that's going to freak people out. A lot of people hate that idea. But if you really look at it, what are they going to monetize everything? and then we never have a game that you play. You just swipe your credit card and experience more, because that's essentially what we have right now with the limited economy aspects and missions available. It is not a great experience to move from one ship to the next. But that's kind of what I mean, is server costs are insane from this game. You can see them in their financial reports. It was like $7 million or $9 million. You know, there's other things mixed in there, but that many millions in a year, are they going to be able to keep that up?
Well, yeah,
I'm curious.
And
I don't know.
It's not a small staff either, you know. I mean, if you were to just take just kind of they have more than that now, but the 500 employees, and you know, they're technical people, and even if they're paying them a very, very modest wage for IT, particularly of like 50,000, that's 25 million a year just in wages alone, outside of the server cost.
Exactly. It's so much.
So yeah, it does make you wonder, okay, where does that revenue come from? How many ships can you sell, you know, to kind of maintain that? Although I guess it's kind of worked for them so far, but I can understand why you say that, shut down, but I guess I might say either shut down or a different kind of, you know, income model.
Income model, yeah, for sure. I mean, I hope it would be the latter. Like, I'm not sitting here saying that that's what I hope happens, or that's even what I think is going to happen. But I think it's a possibility. Gotcha. And I just, it's very difficult to look 10 years from now.
Yeah, a lot can happen. Yeah,
a lot can happen, and a lot of bad can happen, and a lot of really awesome stuff can happen. This could be the greatest game ever made, or this can be the greatest flop of all time, right? And that 5-year mark, probably the 3-year mark from now, is going to be the deciding factor of that decision. And I can't look past that number very easily, if that makes sense.
It does.
Because there's so many decisions that have to be made about how this game will play, how they're going to implement all these mechanics, how they're going to implement organizations, how we're going to interact. Like, they call this game a sandbox, but it's not a traditional sandbox at all. It's a theme park game with sandbox elements, right? You go to these locations, but I can't manipulate the world that I'm in. I can't even manipulate the economy very much. So it's the gameplay and the loops and the way we interact with each other and the way they funnel us into certain areas and force us to interact with each other is going to be the key. And it's hard to see that right now because they're not focused on that very much at the moment. So it's going to be interesting to see how they plan on doing it.
Gotcha. So,
or how they implement it.
So when do you think we're getting salvage? How far
2022.
Out is that? 2022. Okay. So
probably.
So a couple years out is what you're thinking. How about Habs? I know you're excited about Habs. I see the word Habs and it gets you a little jittery.
I am excited about them, but I think they're really pulling at our strings on this one a little bit. Probably. I think anything really significant happens in 2022. You got to think they haven't made a huge leap in any of the tech that they need to do yet. And that's all going to happen in 2021. And then you have to, hopefully, of course, and then you have to iron out all those issues and then start developing in that. So I think anything super exciting happens not next year, but the year after.
Gotcha. So even though they've shown us Habs a couple times, you're thinking like 2 years.
I'm not buying it.
Hopefully, at a hopeful mark, right?
Yeah. Okay. I'm not buying that they're anywhere near.
How about a fully meshed server network where essentially we've got all the players all playing together, like you had described? Is that now 5 years, or is that a lot sooner?
No, I think that's the end of next year, maybe beginning of the following.
That would be amazing. That'd be amazing if we could get that.
It was supposed to be at the end of this year. It was a hope at the end of this year, was what Chris said. Yeah. And it clearly is not going to be, and now it's looking like it's mid next year, and I'll push it back a little further to not disappoint myself. too much.
Okay. Well, I'm going to end off here with a little speed round. So we're going to see how quickly we can get through this little series of questions here. All right. So you ready?
Sure.
Okay. Favorite ship in Star Citizen?
Is it in the game or out of the game?
Either.
The Orion out of the game. In the game, the Mole.
Mole. Okay. Most annoying Star Citizen bug right now?
I think the inability to repair easily is super annoying.
Have you ever been to a bar, Citizen?
Yes.
Is CitizenCon worth going to in person?
I actually prefer to watch it rather than go to it. Okay. But I'm antisocial, believe it or not. Like, people make me feel weird.
All right. Favorite streamer other than yourself?
Oh, I have a lot. Asmongold.
Okay. Favorite YouTuber?
Oh, wow. Oh, that's so tough. I watch so many crazy, weird YouTube channels. Josh Satin is he's a farmer.
No, that's cool. I like it. I dig that. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What kind of car do you drive?
A Honda Civic.
Okay. Your wife Emmy's favorite ice cream?
Chocolate.
Okay. When did you start growing the beard?
College. It just out of pure laziness, and then I thought it looked good. But it was more of a goatee back then. I couldn't grow the sides very much. They started coming in post-college.
What a great answer, the lazy beard. Would you ever shave it off?
Yeah, I do it occasionally, just for whatever. But every time I have, people have told me, yeah, don't do that. I was like, oh, okay, just hide my ugly face, and then it makes people pretend, or they think I'm not as ugly as I guess I really am.
I've never seen you without it, so I have no opinion on it. How old is Loli, your cat?
We don't know because we got her from a friend. So the vet thought that she was around 1 when we got her. I was just looking at her if I sounded weird on the mic. I always base it on when I got my house. I got my house 9 years ago, 10 years ago, and she was 1 or 2 then, so she's about 12, we think, I guess.
Okay. All right. So,
but yeah, we're not 100%.
Gotcha. So purely opinion here, are cats better than dogs?
Yes.
And which way should the toilet paper come off the roll, from the front or the back?
I don't care. I just throw it on however it is. But yeah, people get really serious about that. Disco Lando was not happy when I said I take it from the back.
It's a serious topic. I'm surprised you don't have an opinion on it. But
yeah, he was very upset.
That's it. That's your time. Okay, right there.
All right.
So, all right. Well, hey, that's it. I'm gonna be putting a bunch of the links to where you are and all that in my description, so people can find you. But give us a little verbal rundown of where folks can find you.
I think one of the reasons I changed my name was for ease of search too. So SaltEMike on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, and Discord. Discord.gg/SaltEMike.
Okay, great. And like I said, people will be able to look up and find all those links at the bottom of this video. And thanks so much for your time, Mike. I appreciate it.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And don't forget to check out the Readcast podcast, available at the link in the description.